You're listening to Healing Voices Project, where we share stories and the latest information from people who fight addiction every day. I'm Mike Torville, your host and author of Voices from the Fallen. Thank you for listening, for following, and most of all, for sharing with people you care about. Make your voice count too. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us here at Healing Voices Project. We're glad to have you back. And today I have a special guest, Ari Barbanel, who is the executive director of Winter Walk. And Winter Walk is a year-round effort to raise awareness and funds towards an end to homelessness and through outreach, education, and advocacy. Now, prior to her work with Winter Walk, Ari worked in the arts as a director of special projects and artistic producer at the American Repertory Theater in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And Ari lives nearby, just outside of Boston, with her husband, who is a musician and a producer. Well, that would be interesting. And your daughter, who you claim is a not-so-evil genius. Does she get that from her mom?
You know, she gets a lot of things from me, but I'm not
Oh.
sure.
Well, you have a 10-year-old daughter, right?
Yes,
Wow.
I do.
That keeps you busy, I'm sure. Uh,
Very.
well, thanks for joining us, Ari. And we're going to talk about the Winter Walk. We're going to talk about homelessness and all related things. And you have an event coming up very soon on February 5th. So I know you've been real busy planning this event, which is a week away.
A week away. We're very excited.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on to talk about this. So I guess first of all, you have this event February 5th. We'll talk about the details of that. And if people want to register, get involved, how they can do it, what else is involved, but also homelessness and homelessness all over. And I think we got a lot to talk about with that too. So the urgency is about this event that's coming up because it's so short time. So do you want to talk about that? And then we'll talk about the Winter Walk and your experience that you've had with it over the past few years.
Sure. Winter Walk has been around for 7 years now. We were founded in the greater Boston area, as you said, as an organization ready to raise awareness around issues of homelessness. There's a lot of issues and a lot to learn about, and we want to help demystify, destigmatize, and share with people so that maybe they'll change their perceptions, and that will open the floodgates to making systemic change. So we are year round. We're doing lots of work in education and outreach, but then we culminate each year with this big walk event. It's both the end of one year of work and the beginning of another, and it's an opportunity to come together and celebrate caring about this work and lifting up the voices of those who have lived through homelessness, who may still be living in homelessness, and hearing those stories and learning about everyone's story. And we were so grateful to have so much support in the Boston area after our last 6 walks, and said this is more than just a Boston issue. It's nationwide, but we really wanted to connect to more communities in Massachusetts, our home state, and we really wanted to move into Western Massachusetts. And as we got to know so many wonderful people, we found that the Hampden County area was a great place to get that started, and really honor the organizations doing amazing work in that community, those experiencing homelessness in that community. And so we are launching this big event. It's an event that happens outside, rain, snow, or shine, in February, the coldest month in our year. And we walk together, shoulder to shoulder, housed and homeless and everything in between, to say this is important and to give a voice to those who are often left voiceless. And we come together in joy, not in sadness. We hear stories, we hear music, we have coffee together. We take a very short walk around downtown Springfield. The walk this year will be held in Springfield. And then we come back together and have a big community breakfast and celebrate the good work that we did and that we'll keep doing all year round.
That's
So
great.
it's happening Sunday, February 5th, and we're very excited.
So you said a short walk. How short of a walk is it?
It's less than 2 miles. It's just
Okay.
under 2 miles.
Okay. So you can do that easily within an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
40 minutes.
Any
It's one
pace.
long conversation.
Yeah. Any pace. So before and after and around the walk, you'll again have a lot of camaraderie and people are all around and learn from people there. So if you want to go, what time does it start? What time should people show up?
Yeah, so it's happening on Court Square in downtown Springfield,
Mhm.
and we'll gather starting at 9 a.m.
Okay.
People, if they're already registered, can check in and get all their great Winter Walk swag and a cup of coffee. And if you haven't registered, you can still show up and we'll get you all set. And then we hear a short program from our stage at 9:30. And that is, as I said, voices of those with lived experience, a welcome from city leaders, a welcome from all of us at the Winter Walk, very short. And then we'll take this walk together just
Mhm.
after that, and then come back and everything will be wrapped up by 11 a.m. You'll have a wonderful rest of your day knowing you did good.
That's great. And it finishes where it starts, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So no issues with having to get rides at the end of it, all that stuff. Oh, good. Now, how did this all begin 6 years ago? And were you involved with the beginning of it? And also, gosh, I'm sure you've been asked this. Why in the world did you pick the middle of winter?
You're
That's
making me
pretty,
laugh. Yes, I
that's,
have heard that
yeah,
before. And I'll
yeah,
tell you why. So,
yeah.
this did come together in that spirit. We called it the Winter Walk. It came together, a group of caring individuals in Boston, uh, saying, what can we do to help people understand homelessness a little better? Help understand
Mhm,
that it's not a one size fits all issue. There's no poster child for homelessness. Homelessness can affect anybody. There are many different root causes, and each population facing homelessness experiences something different, from
mhm,
adults to young people to families. There's a lot of stories to share. And we thought that if we could come together and walk in the shoes of those who may not have a choice where they are on a very
mhm,
cold day,
mhm,
that it would help change some of those perceptions. It would help open the door to be open to more storytelling. And so that's where we came from. We came from this little idea to be a walk. And then we said, well, let's do more. Let's honor service providers in our community. There wasn't a need for more service. There is
mhm,
wonderful service. There's a need for more light to be put upon these services so that they can get the resources they need to do their work. And that
mhm.
includes funding, that includes advocacy, and just general support and knowledge so they can get their work done. So we said, let's be an amplifier. Let's come together and say, here's what's happening in our community. Here's how you can get involved. So we're very lucky to say that, we have to do our own year-round work in storytelling and education, and we
Mhm.
fundraise for all of that. But when we do these walk events, 100% of the money that we're raising at these events is going back to local service providers, not to us, to these providers that we are honoring at the event. And the
Yeah.
goal is to keep adding more and more partners that we can share this joy and this awareness and these funds with.
Yep. Yep. And I think when you're saying partnering with different people, because people also have a choice to say they like to donate to one particular program or another. Um, and those funds are distributed based on what people choose or as a proportionate to how you might split them up. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
so um,
So
the
you
people,
can
yeah,
honor an organization you already know and love. And
yeah,
if you want to donate money or fundraise, you can
yeah.
get that money to that organization, or you can say, I want my money to go to all these organizations, and we
Okay.
split it across all of them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good to know. And so this is a fundraising event, obviously. And so, and there's a registration. So you want to know, to keep it organized. Can people just show up or do they need to register ahead of time?
People can just show up. It's
Mhm.
it's all are welcome. There is no requirement to pay a fee or to fundraise. This is for everyone. We do
Okay.
encourage people to donate if they can,
Okay.
or to
Mhm.
fundraise, and we have lots of tools that help you get there.
Yeah.
But anyone can show up, and if you didn't register in advance, we will get you all registered when you arrive. It will
Okay.
be faster if you registered in advance.
Yeah. All right. And if somebody wanted to find out about it, you have a website too, right?
We do. It's winterwalk.org.
Okay.
.org, and you can find out all the information about our partner organizations, about the event itself, about the
Hmm.
work we're doing year round, and it's a great resource center.
Yeah. And you have an event in Boston on the 17th.
On the 12th,
On
actually.
the 12th. Okay, the
Yeah,
12th. All right. Wow.
I
You
wish it
have
was on the 17th. That'd buy me 5 more days.
give you a little break between the two. Yeah, I know. Um, so okay, so that's good to know because if somebody, misses the Springfield one, they want to participate in the Boston one, certainly or both.
Exactly.
They can still do both. Uh, but you know, you were saying, yeah, earlier, and you said it a few times, and I want to make sure we mentioned, you talk about sharing stories, and I think the importance of that. And you also talked about the perception of homelessness. What I found is when people share stories, they change the perception when they hear a story. They there's the stigma attached to homelessness or substance abuse changes when you start to hear a story, when you start to find some relatable aspect to it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think when you hear stories and you share stories, I think people start to tend to be more understanding, more empathetic, more willing to participate. And I think to me that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, we especially want to tell stories from the mouths of those who've had the experience. You know, that
Yes.
storytelling is such a powerful tool. Everything you said is so right. And to have someone who's gone through that share it
Hmm.
with you. So I'm not telling the stories of somebody with lived experience of homelessness. This person standing right in front of you
Yeah.
with a heart and a soul and smiles and joy and sadness and trauma can share in their own words, and that is the most powerful tool of all. And it's a gift to be able to have a platform that we can share with those willing to share their stories with us.
Hmm. Uh, Now, obviously, you're doing this in Springfield after 6 years in Boston. Have you found the crowds or the participation has increased over the 6 years?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah,
Our first year, we had 500 people show up, and that's a ton of people.
yeah,
I mean, we were shocked.
yeah,
What it said to us was that people
yeah.
care, and then in our last walk in the greater Boston area, we had close to 2,500 people show up.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, it takes time to build relationships, and this walk in Springfield represents all of Hampden County, and it will
Hmm.
take time for us to meet everybody and connect. But we're excited for whoever can show up to get to know the work and help us build it in the Hampden County community so that it feels organic to the issues and the conversations that need to happen there.
Yeah, and gosh, if you can get 2,500 people out in the middle of February, whew. It's tough to get my wife out in February. So, but wow. So obviously, based on that success, so coming into Springfield for the first year, and certainly we'll obviously we're sharing it here, but you've got all kinds of people that this affects, and you said it earlier because again, going back to the perception, this affects more people than people generally realize.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
there's so much homelessness that's invisible. So,
Hmm.
we all have our perceptions, and I
Right.
would never say that those are wrong. Some of the visions we have when we think about homelessness, you may think of somebody alone in an alley with bags and unkempt hair and things like that. And that's one version of homelessness.
Right.
But, we don't always think of some of the other stories of people who have jobs and are living on people's couches because they don't have their own place. And that is a version of homelessness. Or
Hmm.
families that are living in emergency rooms, or, young people who have not been welcomed back to their own homes and are trying to make it work with friends and things like that. These are all different versions of homelessness.
Hmm.
And if we can recognize that a little and destigmatize that a lot, there's a
Right.
chance we can get some good work done.
And I think with destigmatizing too, because I think there's a lot of people who may be homeless who may hide it because of the stigma. And like you said, the invisible aspect of this. And if you have somebody who's homeless or hiding it or sleeping on a couch or in the car, something that they don't want to share because of that stigma, where do you suggest they turn to? Because you, like you said, you partner with a lot of organizations. Do you have certain organizations that you get them in touch with?
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this first year in Western Massachusetts, we're partnering with 6 organizations,
Hmm.
and they're all incredible, and they're all doing different kinds of work. But the idea is to, like I said, keep growing partnerships and bring in more organizations. But these organizations touch a lot of areas and a lot of
Yeah.
needs, ranging from healthcare to housing to mental health. Uh, So, all of those things come together to care for someone who is at risk of homelessness or currently homeless or formerly
Mhm,
homeless. We don't think
mhm,
about it, but there is care needed to make sure someone gets housing, stays in housing, stays safe and healthy so that they can maintain their housing. There's a long through line that we have to get through to help our community, and these organizations are all here to do that. And so each one provides a service. You can learn all about them, like I said, on our website at
yeah,
winterwalk.org.
yeah,
But we love to help get people connected to services they need. I think there may be a perception. For example, one of our partners is Friends of the Homeless through CSO in Springfield, and that
mhm,
is a very large shelter provider in
mhm,
Western Massachusetts, but also they provide healthcare direct connection to another partner of ours, to Health Services of Springfield for the homeless. Um, and they also provide connections to Gandara for mental health care, and they provide, knowledge and support around housing issues. So you may
mhm.
have this perception that shelter is not for me, that's not my issue right now, but these organizations are here to provide everything, a wraparound series of care. And so all of these partners are a great touch point to get support and help.
Yeah, because usually I would say there's always an underlying cause, whether it's mental illness or substance abuse or some economic situation, and identifying what that is to help people get support in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah, especially, and maybe this is a good reason to do it in the winter.
It certainly sends the message that,
Right.
this is hard. It's a
Yeah.
raw, difficult experience, homelessness, all of its versions. Nobody wants homelessness. Nobody chooses to be homeless. I promise you. There are choices people make when they are experiencing it that are different, but nobody chooses this. And so in
Right.
that moment, we do choose to be outside in solidarity. And we do say, this is a time to be thoughtful and contemplative about these issues. But also the walk is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, don't
Yeah.
worry, we're going to give you some nice hot chocolate or hot coffee and a pair of hand warmers, and we're going to have a lot of fun together.
I would love to be there. I'm going to be away, unfortunately.
We
It
forgive
was,
you.
you know, thanks. Uh, Appreciate that. But next time, and maybe I can make the one in Boston. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, and but so it's the winterwalk.org. Um, and that has information about both Boston and Springfield. And
Correct.
if somebody wanted to register, they can find how to do that on the website.
Yes, we'd like to think it's easy, but if there's any issues, we've got lots
Yeah.
of contact points to get in touch with us. We can help you, walk you through it, get you all signed up.
Okay. And is there also a phone number too?
There is. You might
Mhm.
not get anybody because it goes straight to me, to my office, and I'm running around this week. But please call us and we'll get back to you. We're at 617
Okay.
414 5577.
All right. That goes right to you. So
Right to me.
uh-oh. Uh-oh. Sorry I
The
brought that
phone's in
up.
my
All
office,
right.
y'all.
Uh, so yeah, I'm sure you've been quite busy.
It's been
Um,
a busy and wonderful time.
yeah, yeah. And you live outside Boston, as we said earlier, but you've been spending a lot of time in Western Mass lately, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I was in Springfield yesterday. I was in Holyoke just a few days before that. I've been meeting so many people. I've been getting to connect with these organizations
Yeah.
we're working with and see their work in action. And it's an amazing community that really, really works together in a way that is very inspiring.
Hmm. And that's great. And I'm glad you're taking the time to do that. So, and you're forming a lot of new relationships out here. You may find to spend more time out here too. Might get to like it out here.
I already do. And
Yeah.
I think it's really terrific, but we also want to root ourselves locally. So,
Yeah.
we are working on building a local team, an event
Hmm.
committee that advises us year round on what to be
Hmm.
sharing and talking about. We'd like to have a full-time staff that's rooted there so that it really feels like it's a piece of the Hampden County and Western Massachusetts region.
Hmm. And when you mentioned year round too, because that's what I was going to ask you about, because you don't just stop your work after the walk. And so it's the Winter Walk website is there all year, obviously, and you provide the support and resources and connect all year round. So besides though, if you can't make the walk, I would suggest to the people watching or listening to still visit winterwalk.org because you're addressing homelessness all year round.
Yes, we are
Yeah.
not only trying to share resources through the website, we have lots of social media. We want to share volunteer opportunities that people can take advantage of all year round. We're
Mhm.
also doing enormous work in education. So we have curriculum for grades kindergarten through 12th grade that is really tailored to each age group to talk about this. We have programs we do completely free of charge that we would like to be doing in schools with community groups, youth groups, faith groups, and really want to blow that up and grow that in Hampden County so that we can connect with this next generation of leaders who will be making all the big choices and decisions very, very soon. And if their perceptions change now, and we can work together, we can really make a difference. And so we are here year round, and we do that same work with adults. You know, we do a lot of storytelling work with those experiencing homelessness. We do work with corporations and businesses to help share about homelessness in your area. So there are plenty of reasons and ways that we could get involved year round.
Year round. Yep. And I'm sure, yeah, your work does not stop after the winter walk. That's for sure. Even though, and I thought about it afterwards, asking you about the why February. And actually, the more I thought about it, it's actually makes sense. It makes sense because that's when I think it just hits people more at home to think, you know, it's it just makes it that much more urgent in the winter. I just it's just the harsh weather and thinking about this, I think it just creates a sense of urgent need. So
Yeah, I think it drives the point home.
it
That's for
does.
sure.
Yeah. So if anyone wanted to get interested, again, I say it again, go to winterwalk.org. There is a registration, but you can call the number or show up next Sunday, the 5th at 9 a.m. And the kickoff is at 9:30. It'll end around 11 o'clock, so you can get on with your day and still support a wonderful organization here. So is there anything else, Ari, that we forgot to mention that you should talk
We
about?
covered a lot of it, but I
Okay.
think, please reach out and
Yeah.
share stories with us and tell us what you want to know more about. And we thrive on being really involved in our community. And that's so important.
Well, we're glad you came out here to Western Mass to do this. And I think you and I will be talking quite a bit because I think you talked about sharing stories and even having people on. When you talk about success stories, it's wonderful to have someone on that says, look, it was their story of homelessness or substance abuse or the issue that left them homeless, and talk about how they came out of it. And a lot of it's through the work, through the organizations that you partner with, and how that support brings somebody to a brand new life.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of hope in the work
Yeah.
we do and the people we share with. And there's a lot of hard stuff too, but it's really amazing to meet people who have
Yeah.
gone through some of the most tragic and traumatic experiences, and they have come through, or they're still working on it, but they're not giving up, and we never give up on anybody.
Right.
So I'm excited for us to keep talking and for you to meet some of our friends who are
Good.
really
Well, we'll
incredible.
do that. And the success stories keep you going.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
yeah. Well, great. Well, thank you for coming on and winterwalk.org. Do you want to repeat the phone number again, Ari?
God, I don't, but I will.
I
It's
know.
617-414-5577. And I'll
All
call you
right.
back, I promise.
All right.
So one of us weary team members will call you back.
All right.
We're so excited. Thank you for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you. All right. Well, we'll be talking really soon. And thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Ari. All right.